right, ladies and gentlemen, what is up? It is bright and early on a Sunday, almost said Saturday, my time is so confused, on the Sunday morning. A little bit later than we were expecting, so I apologize for that. We're just having some trouble getting players set up and in the lobby, but we are here for the Pride Cup 2021 Day 2. By the end of today, we'll know who our Pride Cup champions are and who all the losers are. My name is SunPheonyx, and I'm joined once again by my trusty sidekick at this point, TerranLord. Welcome.
Thank you. And it is very early, my brain is still waking up. I think that's the nice thing of this extra time we've got.
Yeah.
To wake up a bit more. Yeah, it seems like a couple of players also struggling with waking up as well.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a pandemic at the moment. Just players not waking up. But we're here to guide you through things today. We're just waiting for the last couple of players. But why don't we quickly jump in and take a look at our teams. We'll start with Babsdyssey here. Now, of course, yesterday we had our first look at Babsdyssey. Wasn't their best performance, I think. They are obviously second place coming out of Group A. And it's Pritz and Quagga on the tanks, the two Odyssey main tanks. Babs and Furious on the DPS. One of those players not with us currently. Phoenix and KK, as it turns out now, on the supports. Usually Apricornicus, but he is also not with us. And yeah, that's Babs. Any thoughts on this team, Tim?
I mean, as you say, I don't think we got the best of what they can produce yesterday. It was a bit of a rough game for them, and I'm really excited to see what they can pull out in a game where it's not the end of the day where a lot of them are quite tired. Yes, obviously it is early in the morning, but they can kind of grow into the series as well. And there's a few things I think from that last series which you're not expecting them to face the series. You're not going to have this complete and utter chaos. There's going to be a lot more structured play. Going to see from when we saw them on stream, we're playing more of these teams, like team comps where they were playing together. There wasn't these random flanks.
Yeah, I'm not going to be dominated by the Tracer, who seems unstoppable, or Cubic on the ball, just unrelenting. And why don't we take a look at their opponents, another team we've already seen this weekend. 4E, Elven's Eccentric Electric Eels. We did watch them play against 5 Roses Rooibos, and they ended up going the distance there and winning in a map 5. So I played a lot of games yesterday, did this team, but at the end of it all, they came out at the top of that group. And at the time, if you remember, Terran, we were saying, I think this team is struggling. If they don't win here, they might be eliminated, and shows how quickly things can change because they ended up winning the group. But their tanks are, of course, Fluffy and TocsInSocks, the two support players from Team Enigma. Elven Slayer and Damien on the DPS. Elven Slayer, OG's off-tank. Damien, OG's DPS player. Dragon Wolf and the Ravester on their supports.
Yeah, and this team, as we said, we were looking a bit worried with them in their game. But as the game went on, it seemed that they started to get used to each other's playstyles, knew what they needed to do to win, and they took that going forward, finishing top of their group. Now it's going to be interesting to see, can they take it to Babsdyssey, and which team is going to come on top? Because I feel like this is going to be structure versus structure a lot of the time. When you think of both like Enigma, Odyssey, and OG, all three are teams who in general play a lot more of their structured play style compared to teams the like of Beastie Boys and Rambo Fight Pop.
Yeah, that's very true. And our first map, we finally have some new maps here, TerranLord. That's very exciting. We'll be Nepal, as you can see, always starting on Control. And we will be starting as we jump into game here on Village. We're going to move things along fairly swiftly here because we are quite late starting. But if you guys are new to the Pride Cup, it is just a tournament we put on where we celebrate the LGBTQ plus members of community, both in our community and outside our community, and try and create a welcoming space for all of those people. And we also and just to clarify something, you don't have to be LGBTQ plus to play in the tournament. That is something that I think some players are confused by. It is open to anyone. And then you sign up as solos or duos, and we put you in teams based on SR. Now, SR is not the most foolproof way of doing it, but it's the best way we have. So these teams are all balanced around about 2,800. Now, looking at these compositions here, TerranLord, what are your thoughts?
I think it's just, again, we're seeing that symmetric coming out from Elven, something which we saw, quadruple E use a lot versus, more of your standard May McCree matchup coming out of Babsdyssey.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see if teams respond to what teams were doing yesterday, if they actually were able to get a look at those VODs and see what teams are running, as we see Elven Slay here pumping out the damage on the Symmetra, able to build it up on that Reinhardt shield and just put the pressure on. Damien's going to check the flanks here. Nothing afoot at the moment, and there goes the shield for the Reinhardt, and immediately Tocs drops. Furious going to pick up that first kill. Furious a standout player from yesterday, but Tocs and the crew are going to get aggressive here. 4E want to get set up on point. Point has already flipped towards Babsdyssey though, so they are in the driver's seat for this team fight, but the link falls back. Shadow comes out, blocked by his own May. That's a classic TerranLord, who spoke about it yesterday. As they do flip the point though, so despite a difficult start, they actually come back. Tocs gets back and rejoins the fray and helps his team, push his team to a quick recap. Oh no, sorry. Babsdyssey wins the team fight. I'm also still waking up, apparently.
Yeah, that's something very interesting. Even though Tocs goes down very early there, having that symmetry, they were forced to kind of push into them. They just kept backing up, playing very slow, kind of baiting them in, and ended up winning that team fight as a result.
Yeah, a very back and forth team fight actually. You very seldom see that is an enormous anti-heal. The Shadow won't hit anything, but the anti-nade is more than enough to allow Tocs to burn his way through and push forward. I realized what my confusion was. The teams at the top are on the incorrect stand, yeah. That's why I was confused, because I guess I saw Tocs getting kills and I was like, yeah, they're winning. But then the team names confused me.
It happens early in the morning.
Yeah. Everyone's still waking up. Me, Peach, Babs, Apricornicus. Yeah.
Sure.
Team fight underway here. Fluffy has the Graviton Surge. Instead, he's going to get yoinked into the opponent's grab. Damien frozen up, taken down. So 4E now down in player as the team fight progresses. Graviton Surge comes up. The wall is great, actually. Prevents any damage from going into that. And in fact, signs Tocs to his death. Fluffy drops as well now. So that means Babsdyssey can look to push forward and grab this point back. Just need to clean up the players on point. Symmetra, not long for this. Wolf Fierce struggling to find that shot. Gets the headshot. Does it with style. Who's this guy? Damien, no, get out of here, man. He gets taken down by Furious eventually, and Tocs is now in here. This is actually a decent stall. 92% on the clock, but a lot of outcharge fed in the opposite direction. Babsdyssey will gain control.
Yeah, and big credit there go to Rafiki. Big Blizzard froze up everyone on point, and then that May wall not only allowed them to survive the grab from Fluffy, but also had a little bit of peek of a hole where they could shoot at Tocs while he was frozen.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible May wall. Big Shatter, oh my goodness, that he didn't expect himself to hit that. I think Shatter comes out, huge ultimate from Furious, completely cancelling out Tocs' Shatter. Nice try, Damien, but Furious had that covered with the flashbang, and that means Pretz and Co will remain in control of this point, and that was an expensive team fight for both teams.
And you've got to give really credit to Furious here. Not only getting these picks, but he's also checking Damien really well. Every time Damien looks at these little flank angles, Furious is there to punish him. And it's been a crucial part of why Babsdyssey have a chance in these team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Window comes out now, pump the damage through. That's immediately a kill onto Dragon Wolf DW. Not going to be walking in this fight anymore as Tocs drops as well. Another good wall from Rafiki, signing the fates away here. Oh! Screw you, I guess. Signing the fates away of many of the 4E players.
Yeah, and we're starting to see a bit of this weakness of the Symmetra pick, where once you lose control point, it's very difficult to really get to that. You don't have those sim turrets where the Reinhardt doesn't have to push in. Pretz is basically free to just swing around until maybe that sim gets charged up, but by that time, one of the players is already down.
4E now coming in, a TP towards point, and immediately the projected barrier goes up. Damien opens the kill here, opens the feed with a kill onto KK. Healing is limited, and that I think is the key. Despite it gets drawn out, it's not going to be good for Babsdyssey, and the Graviton Surge will sign that. So we spoke about this Metro not really working out after that, but that TP I think critical. The quick rotation made it too difficult for Babsdyssey to respond quickly, and ended up getting picked off as they started to come into the point.
Yeah, there's some barrier as well, very effective.
Yeah, true.
So both DPS had to go on the flank to try and get value there, and once they had gone on the flank, already 4E had realized, okay, they're on this flank, Damien gets picked off, but we can just sit behind our sim barrier, and even though we're frozen, it doesn't really matter. The DPS can't do this. We just kill the rest of the team, and then once that's done, the DPS go down. So ultimately, the sim does come out big, but it was a bit of a struggle for them once they had lost control.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It did look like the sim wasn't going to work out until that last fight kind of proved us wrong. Interesting to see something here. Phoenix now onto the Brigitte. She's the only person who actually played the Brigitte in our quote-unquote televised matches yesterday. Damien is now on the Genji. We saw the resurgence of that hero yesterday in the death throws on Route 66 of Babsdyssey, but instead it will be the opponents running that. Not a hero I favor greatly here, as Elven Slayer pumps the damage in from across. Fluffy will drop, Pretz will drop. No main tanks left in this team fight. Dragonwolf is on the mercy though, so if he can find the angle, they can get the res, but instead blue team will back up here, and Rafiki will make his way onto the point here now. Start capping away, but gonna play it safe. Tox is gonna track him down here on the Diva, switching now off the main tank. Rafiki is like, yeet, I'm out of here. Damien is getting kills all over the place. Both supports taken down. Now move on to point, try and get rid of his counter here in the monkey. Winston will try and get out of here. Pretz's Quacha drops elsewhere. Rafiki did find the kill onto the Ravester, but it's not going to be enough. He's the only one contributing to the kill feed for Babsdyssey, and 4E will take control first once again.
Yeah, and we saw there, like, it was obviously the trades onto the main tanks, but Quacha did try his best to kind of stall out the point, gave time for Pretz to come back, but because of the sleep from the Ravester, Quacha really lost a lot of the value that he possibly got, and then by that point, they just had wrestle control of point.
Yeah, and they seem to be excelling in these sort of longer drawn out team fights. Damien gets an initial pick onto Quacha, and I think that might already be team fight over. Gotta wait for the ball to get back into the frame.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want your ball down in this kind of situation. You want him as a point of engagement. It's one of the first times, you know, it's not the Winston that's really your point of engagement.
Fluffy with the hook wasn't able to secure that kill, and in fact goes down instead. Oh! Never mind. Tox with an incredible self-destruct. That is 5 players down. Only Quacha able to escape with his life and throws it away immediately after.
Yeah, the biggest Eva bomb we've definitely seen so far. 5 man. Yeah, like without the MP as well.
Yeah.
It's against a dive comp. You don't expect these players to die to the bomb, but Tox finding that crucial place and winning a team fight very easily.
Yeah, pretty much by himself there after Fluffy drops off as Quacha making a nuisance of himself here. Damien dropping low. He's going to throw it out. He's got the nano blade. He knows that. So he gets that down. That's 1 kill. 1 dies elsewhere. Quacha off the map. Once again, he's really doing his best impression here alongside Pretz on the team. And once again, 4E in control, looking unassailable on this point so far.
The control is just not really there. Like Quacha is really struggling to find the angles, meaning that Pretz can't engage it because there's a roadhog. Pretz is just kind of eating the roadhog pellets, and Fluffy's having a fun time.
What is this? Ultra flank here. Picks of K. She wasn't expecting that. Aren't they related to each other somehow? Anyways, 4E gonna push forward now. Ravester down, so they've traded out the honors, and Fluffy gets that 1 pick. He gets another pick. He's killing everybody in this team fight. Whole hog to boot now. There's another one. Give him all 6. The self-dist Rafiki fires back. He got 5 kills in that team fight. Did Fluffy, and sort of pushes his team to a map 1 victory.
Yeah, and Fluffy saying to Tox, you know, what you can do, I can do as well.
Yeah, exactly. Not quite as impressive, but almost more impressive, right?
Yeah, like you see Tox, I press Q once, where Fluffy's like, I land a few hooks, I also get the whole hog off.
Exactly.
I'm not letting you get the only limelight here.
Wow. That's something you chuck in and hope for the best and expect to get 1 or 2 kills. As a Diva player, I've made that play or plays that look like it many times, and you almost never get more than 1 or 2 kills. But Toxie, he saw the opportunity, threw it out, and murdered everybody. And Fluffy, after that, kind of did the same. So not really any standout performers there, in my opinion, from 4E. Just good team play and more Babsdyssey, I think, struggling to find a rhythm.
Yeah. A lot of it comes down to this real, like, the engagement from both Pretz and Quacha. Then, like, on first point, it was kind of even. Like, they were doing a pretty good job. and then we were getting the picks, but weren't really able to translate in that first initial fight. And then when it came to Sanctum there, it just felt like there was a bit of a disconnect. Quacha would go in, he'd get stunned up, and while that was happening, that was only when the rest of the team would engage. And by that point, either Quacha was forced out or killed, and then against a Roadhog as a Winston, you're probably just going to just die. There's not much you can do. And they tried to get the dive onto the supports, but because you've got that big beefy Roadhog, he's not that easy to get past. And we didn't see something like that Tracer we saw from Selfless yesterday, getting into that pipeline, harassing the supports, making it a bit easier for the tanks to get to Doomfist, where it's more of that gauge at the front. Which another thing is you have to go through that road.
Yes, exactly. Something to point out as well, just to remind everyone, this is not their quote-unquote main roster. They've got 2 new players who joined at the last minute who may themselves be just waking up. So we might see the Babsdyssey squad sort of improve as the match goes on, and that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and seems like Quacha isn't here. Apparently he needs a sub. I'm not exactly sure why, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Now he's back, apparently. Exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Could be
Weird.
Could be no. Okay, that's not something for stream.
No. It's something between Quacha and his team.
Yes, I think he's going to be coming back, hopefully. We'll have to wait and see. And next map, I believe, is King's Row. So a map that I think every single person is going to be familiar with.
I think next time I'll get Blur to put King's Row on the day with the most matches, so we get to watch it more often than not. Because, there's nothing wrong with Eichenwalde, but imagine we'd watched 5 King's Row games instead. We'd be feeling great this morning.
Yeah.
It's like a good night's sleep watching King's Row, and I don't mean that it's boring. I mean that it's refreshing and energizing. So we've jumped back into Nepal here. I think the teams just wanted to get a sense of how that map looks once again, but it will be King's Row, as you mentioned here, Terran. These teams, every single player will be extremely familiar with this map, and actually looking at these 2 teams, a wealth of competitive experience here. Only Rafiki, not a player that we know that well, but I believe he's played on some teams before, if not currently.
If I'm not mistaken, he was on Kitsune last year when the DPS, and I can't remember what they renamed to this year. I believe he's still on that team. They haven't. I don't think it's Hellhounds.
I thought Hellhounds was new. I know Kutsune didn't take part in ATK at the end of last year. The finals, so they kind of disbanded. I wasn't aware they were still floating around. But
yeah, I think there's like a few remnants of those players there around. So someone who definitely out of everyone has the least amount of experience, but he has some experience. And being in South Africa, you're bound to play this map. I mean, even EU teams that you scrim against, they play this map. Then South Africans, I don't even know how many series there were in RMG that wasn't King's Row.
Like single digits, like 1 or 2. So one thing I will say, we were actually, when we were making the Pride Cup, we were jokingly saying, I think maybe we should just make the map pool all King's Row. And it was hard to come up with an argument against that. But look, my love for this map is well documented. I'm sure, Terran, you love this map as much as any other human on planet Earth does. But it does up some interesting compositions. This time we're going to see the Brawl now. So kind of a similar look to what we saw on Village, Nepal. Elven will be on the McCree, and this man right here, Furious, aka Furio5, for all you Deadmau5 fans out there, he will be on the Widow. No, gonna switch back, just wanted to poke a little bit here, but on the front line, there's action afoot as Rafiki dropping low. Tox gets killed with the return charge from Prince. He does end up going down, but he kind of rescued a bad situation there, covered from his team by the opposing May wall, and I like these compositions. This is looking pretty meta, actually. We haven't seen much May this tournament. Rafiki brought it out on Nepal, and now Damien's gonna match him here on King's Row, but composition that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and something that's very interesting, like that May wall, not really something I'm a big fan of, but ended up working out in terms of the trade, but ultimately seems like Babsdyssey have the advantage.
Oh, Tocs stunned out there. Will get killed. So 2 picks going the way of Babsdyssey here. Starting to find their footing just a little bit. And they're trying to just pick off first these players. The Wall going to try and cut off the choke there. Separate Fluffy from his team. And does so effectively. I have to say, Rafiki's been impressing me with the way he's been able to use these May walls so intelligently.
Yeah, and it's always very important for a map like King's Row. Whenever you think about May, this is her map. Even back before May meta, there were a lot of teams that preferred to run May on this map, and you can see it's something that he's practiced on. He's got those walls down the whiz. Damien, it feels like he's not really used to it more. I mean, I can remember from his games with OG, he was more playing the Hanzo, so he's probably not as accustomed to playing the May on this map.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. That's probably oh, Graviton Surge comes out. That's a big one. Catches pretty much everyone, but it's on the corner, so the team's kind of around the corner. The shadow comes out from Tocs and sets up a couple of kills, but eventually the damage comes through. Once again, a great wall from Rafiki is going to prevent the retreat from Elven's Eccentric Eels.
Yeah, May, like, power of May there. I mean, Grav plus Blizzard, really strong combo. Almost always a guaranteed team fight win with one of those ults, but combine those two together, even if you have a beat there, I don't think you survive them. Maybe Immortality Field can help stem the bleeding, but very difficult.
Oh, Window comes out, Grab goes the other way, so Window not going to contribute that much, but Damien gets shattered down. A nice counter shatter from Pretz prevents the damage from following through, but damage of spades here for Fluffy. Nano boosted Zarya, high charge, he's just going to clean them up. This man, known for his prowess on the flex support, but showing that he can pump out the damage on the off tank as well. Hello, squats man, who's he squatting on you?
I think it might be Rafiki, I'm not 100% sure, but
okay.
Yeah, there again, Grab Visit. So
Elven is Rafiki's coach apparently, so he's just showing you a thing or two.
But yeah, the Grab Visit coming out, big shadow from Pretz. Was it enough to kind of slow things down, but with everyone frozen up, they just couldn't have the damage follow up.
Yeah, and Fluffy in the back with a nano boost really is unstoppable. Alvin Slayer unstoppable here. The Deadeye over the top. A nice combo with the May wall. Or was that the opponent's May wall? I'm not even sure, but it doesn't matter. The end result is the same. Oh, they don't have a May, never mind. Alvin's Eccentric Eels will push through once again.
A bit of assistance there coming out of Rafiki this time. Helping his team reset. That's what we're a nice reset wall, but ultimately they were in a bit of a rough spot, even if that wall had gone up. So, not the worst team fight to this.
No, it cost them nothing as well in that sense. Now they get aggressive. Sound Barrier comes out and the Graviton Surge catches quite a few, but counter Sound Barrier and counter Grab. The wall up prevents the damage from coming through. That's pretty good. There's someone in the back there. Tocs found his way towards the back, but Fluffy trades out Quacha in the same moment. Shadow now goes forward, hits a couple there, but quite far to follow up, but no, Furious has the damage. He's going to pump that on through. Pretz is like, I'll just go die for the team, boys. Don't worry about me. Furious finds another. Damien gets a return kill. So, kills in all directions here as the card moves forward. The Great Wall cuts Alvin Slayer off from his team and the healing of Ravester. And that's going to secure the point here for Babsdyssey.
You have to say, but these walls from Rafiki getting so much value. I mean, we saw in that graph, he walls up, yes. He kind of walled his own Zarya to a death, but it ensured that they were able to get that kill onto Tocs, which, and any day of the week, you'd rather take a kill on a main tank over the Zarya.
Yeah, almost always. I agree completely. On the corner now, this is where you can really get stuck, and Tocs is going to try and make sure they get stuck up here with the nano boost on the Reinhardt. He's getting aggressive now. He's trying to clean up his opposing main tank, and Prince is trying to beat Ace retreat, and Tocs is like, no, you stop that. The boot from Phoenix keeps him back for just a moment, but ends up feeding her own life away now. A nice wall here, cuts off Tocs once again, but there's not enough people alive on the side of Babsdyssey to actually punish that. So, nice aggressive tempo controlling play here from 4E.
Yeah, and I really like this pick from Damien. I think you can see he's not someone who's accustomed to the make. He much prefers something like the Hanzo, and he's getting a lot of value, and you're getting these picks on these off angles, making a big difference in these team fights.
Ooh, big headshot there onto Pretz with the Sonic Arrow. Insult to injury, I think, is Damien now building towards that Dragon Strike, almost there, and you can get quite a bit of value with that ultimate here at this point of the map. Elven Slayer in the back. I've seen this game before. That is a lot. Rafiki with a great wall. Actually only means that he goes down. Quagga will kill Dragonwolf, but the damage has been done here on the front line. Quagga, the drop here towards the end, kills himself, says nobody kills me but me, as the team fight once again goes the way of 4E. But Rafiki, I mean, I'm super impressed with the dude's make.
It's crazy to see actually, like how well he's doing for someone who we don't really know.
Yeah.
And that team fight again, not a costly one. They invest the window into a fight where it was the high noon, so they're not too upset. But Phoenix going down is going to be very difficult.
Oh, I actually don't like that from 4E. They get the initial pick, but then still commit the grab dragon to clean it up. Pretz will go down, but they're kind of backing on the side of Babsdyssey already. I feel like you're kind of fine with them committing 5v6 there.
100%. I mean, you're probably expecting, okay, we've got rid of the Lucio, that means there's no beat, so we can go for this combo. But your grab dragons is a kind of combo that you can go through. You have the right swinging into it. You've got a McCree, you've got a Hanzo. You can burst any target down while they're in that grab.
Yeah, absolutely, but I guess they just want to make 100% sure here they're in control. But now a bit of a dearth of ultimates here for our blue team as Babsdyssey get aggressive behind Pretz. Grab comes down, Blizzard to follow, Shadow in the opposite direction, but won't be able to follow up when he's pulled into the grab. The Nano Boost will keep Fluffy very healthy there, so he's going to be pumping out a ton of damage, but he's lost quite a few teammates. And I've lost Pretz on Babsdyssey though, so a little bit of a trade coming out. But this man on the front line, Quagga, look at the tracking, look at the damage that he's putting out here without Pretz or Tocs, sorry, to stop him. He's got free reign and he's already 40% up to his next ultimate as the team now comes out into 4E, and Rafiki gets rid of Damien. He's been picked enough times by the damn Hanzo. The Shadow comes out as well. The follow-up is there from Furious, and they get rid of the Mentality Field. The High Noon as well gets one, almost gets two. The box protecting them, but they punch their way through with 24 seconds left on the clock.
Very clean play there, I think, coming into that fight after losing Phoenix early, then dying to the Grab Dragons. Babsdyssey recognizing their ult advantage. We can go into the next fight. We've got our Grab Blizzard. Let's win this fight. And then going forward, as soon as they got those picks, they kept the pressure on. They didn't really allow them to get out that spawn for free, and that meant that Elven's Eccentric Electric Eels didn't really have that 6v6 fight.
Yeah.
And already going into an ult disadvantage, as we've spoken about before, it's always going to be difficult.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really nice play from Babsdyssey there. But this is quite a back and forth map, actually. I guess they're starting to find their rhythm on the side of Babsdyssey, but maybe the map also helping them. You don't have to have great synergy to understand how to play on King's Row. And as we've mentioned already, all of these players have competitive experience, so it takes a little bit of time to get in sync. But and Rafiki especially has been a really good addition to the squad so far. But yeah, seems like they've come alive a bit on the side of Babsdyssey.
And there's something that, I mean, you look at Pretz as well. We always know him for his Reinhardt, obviously charging off the map, but I can always remember the days of him and Trigger Happy, the Shatter Bomb on this map. So a map that Pretz absolutely adores more than anything. Anytime this map comes up, he wants it. So I'm pretty sure he's very glad to be here. And we are going to see a very interesting strat coming out of the 4E.
Yeah, this is the old Lyca special here. TP onto the high ground. Whenever I see them play, oh no, it's not actually, oh it is. I didn't know you could TP onto the high ground from there, but I learned something today. Elven Slayer just going to pump the damage in, but a quick response here from Babsdyssey, but I think he spotted him out here. Man, that teleport effect is annoying as hell when you're sitting in it like that, but the damage is pumping through, but they don't even need to get kills here. They can't come to the point on the side of Babsdyssey, and the point's just getting capped right in front of them. They're going to have to get aggressive here. Mentality Field goes down, and so does Pretz. Point are going to be capped here without a team fight eventually. Quagga gets on there, kind of a counterproductive Maywall in a lot of ways, but that's best case scenario for Elven's Electric Eels Seals.
It just seemed like they were very tentative. They didn't really know exactly how we're going to deal with this, how we're going to get to point. We saw Pretz kind of contesting towards the end, but getting picked off meant that they just didn't really have any kind of front line against this Bastion strat.
Yeah,
it's a very difficult strat to deal with. We spoke about it yesterday, how dealing with Bastion oftentimes requires that team coordination, and with these new teams, it's going to be very difficult.
Oops, Tocs. Unfortunately, not enough space up there for the both of them. As now, that is an enormous gravitic flux. It's everybody, but a nice immortality field from K there will keep the team relatively healthy. In fact, Rafiki will get that initial pick onto the Ravester. Fluffy had dropped as well during that, but does get brought back. So Babsdyssey weathering a storm there of note, and will actually be enough, will be up here to defend. Elven will end up going down as Fluffy looks for a charge onto his opposing number. Won't find it this time. Quagga with the Graviton Surge at the ready. Won't need it, just gonna damage him down, but there's a beam coming out the other side. It's almost like there's a Genji here reflecting the beam back at him, but Damien, he's putting out damage. Furious though, gonna try and stop them in their tracks here with a couple of well-placed headshots, but he can't stop this, man. The microwave beam just gonna track them down. Damien coming in clutch for his squad there.
Damien putting a lot of work here. We always talk about him on the hands-on, more on the Kree, but on Symmetra, showing the tracking coming through, kind of a tracking practice a lot of the time. Out-beaming the Zarya.
Out-beaming the Zarya. They kind of work kind of similar, where it takes a bit of time for him to build up the damage on that beam, but Symmetra just needs to hit things. Don't need to worry about the cooldowns around her. Pretz coming in now, gets a double kill in the grab, a beat committed as well here, so a relatively expensive team fight, because it looks like Pretz put the shatter down as well. But it is going to stop the momentum, and that is critical. It's probably going to, yeah, Elven's already switched off the Bastion, so that's very critical.
Yeah, a very important team fight here. Even though you invest a lot, you still got a couple ults here. Mailed can win you this team fight outright. It's not like on the side of 4E, there's a lot of ults. You get the Flux and Valkyrie in this fight.
Yeah, bulk off on Dragon Wolf here. One popper just hit. High Noon comes out furious with the triple, the cleanup from Quagga. So one ult, no, that was two ults, sorry, it was through the window. But very nice stuff from him. Pretz will come up to another ulti, so if they can keep rotating the ultimates like this, they'll be sitting pretty.
This just shows how key it is getting this hold on this point. That Pretz building up to the shadow so quickly. I mean, he didn't even have to really brawl. That was mostly just the fire strike through window. So getting the shadow maybe allowed them to build up more ults. Things like that High Noon once again.
Shadow almost at the ready. Graviton Surge also at the ready, but it's the Gravitic Flux that comes out instead from Tocs. Lots of damage going down, but another nice immortality field from K is going to keep the team looking pretty healthy. Quagga dropping low, will get taken down, so the grab won't be coming out, and damage is now limited. Damage even more limited as Rafiki is taken down. Pretz isolated slightly here. Shield gonna drop soon, and he just opens him up to damage. He goes into U-room, but it's not likely to stay alive for long as he gets tracked down by Tocs. Damien gets his third of the team fight. Now the cart's pushing forward, and this is hella awkward here for Babsdyssey to come out. It's gonna be Quagga first. Graviton Surge almost ready to go. Pretz has his ultimate. They're gonna start with the May wall just to clear the point. Oh, sorry, the May ulti, the Blizzard, just to clear the point. Immortality field down, but Fluffy gets a kill onto Phoenix, and she has her ultimate. Oh, huge shatter, catches 3 in a straight line, but they don't find any picks to grabs. We'll have to close it out here. Lots of damage coming through. Reinhardt swinging. Quagga putting in the damage from that Zarya, and they're just going to manage to clean up here. That should be more than enough kills to secure them this team fight victory, and they're going to try and force them even further back now. So weathering the storm there, another critical team fight victory for Babsdyssey.
Very good start to the fight from Tocs with that Gravitic Flux. Yes, he's going to end up getting the kills, but force Babsdyssey into a corner where they're all low. You see Quagga gets picked off, Rafiki gets picked off, and Babsdyssey were a bit indecisive. Do they want to go fight and point? Do they want to give the point pressure? And they just allowed that point to move forward.
Yeah, unfortunate there. Coming forward now. Phoenix has the beat, ready to go. We'll probably have to commit it here. Shatter comes out, but Tocs gets taken down instead. Pretz, in fact, popped his shatter there. It looks like charging that nice and quick in Quagga's grab in the previous fight. Ravester gets a return kill. Elven Slayer brought back into the play, but I don't think they're going to be able to win this one. Furious not able to get that last shot now, but they're going to push forward and just clean up the rest of these players. Fluffy taken down. The stunner to Tocs, who charges on in, and he's going to get taken down by Furious as well. So that's a bit of time off the bank there. Only 2 minutes of their 5 they started with left.
Yeah, and a bit of the inexperience on the Tocs main tank coming. I think sometimes going to positions you don't really expect the main tanks to be in, you're getting picked off at these inopportune moments, meaning that while Pretz ends up going down a lot of the time in these team fights, they still have that main tank advantage for a bit longer.
Yeah, they do. Damien now with the Dragon Strike, but more ultis on the side of Babsdyssey. Start with the Dragon Strike. Furious says no. Double kill with the Deadeye. That's team fight pretty much done and dusted here. Tocs going deep, but will get taken down. Phoenix happy to pay with her life there. Oh, she beat it. When did she beat?
I think she beat for the Dragons there. Dragons kind of were cutting off a lot of the teams, so making sure that they could sustain through it while going for that high noon window combo. And so far, these combos from Babsdyssey on the defense, especially on third point, have been really good. And it's allowing them for a really good defense here. I mean, we looked at 5 minutes on the clock for quadruple E, and now only 1:20.
Yeah, and they've got the grab and the shatter and the blizzard. Grab blizzard should win this team fight for them, but they're going to try and counter that with the high noon here. Start off well, but another good immortality field from K keeps her team alive. As Rafiki throws the blizzard down, gets a kill. Graviton Surge committed as well. Pretz has the shatter for the next fight. So great ultimate rotations here. Good discipline from Babsdyssey. This next fight could be the last.
This is a fight where you're looking at 4E, maybe trying to come up with something different. Yes, they've got the Grav Dragons coming up. They've got this combo. They need to make sure that they push through this. Otherwise, we're looking at a potential cap in overtime. Yes, it's not the worst because the enemy team only cap for 24 seconds, but you would have liked to cap this a lot longer.
Ooh, nice wall from the Freaky. Shadow comes out, doesn't find anything from Pritz, so the grab will come out through the other side. The dragon was built by Damien there, and that is about as clean of a team fight as you could ever hope for. Tox goes down, no res in play, so they are without their main tank, but the spawns are going to come at exactly the same time here, so this could be tough for 4E despite their dominating position right now.
Especially losing Tox there. Not having that main tank is going to be very tough. We do see their mortality on point. A bit of a stall fight coming out.
Yeah, it is indeed. They're on the ball now on the Doomfist. Oh, this is a nice play from Rafiki. Gets on top of Elven. That is a huge kill. He just needs to not die to the players outside of that. Nice work from Pretz on the point. Overtime now ticks over. So advantage firmly in Babsdyssey's favor. They're not even going to get on the point here. Looked pretty set that they'd at least be able to draw that fight out on 4E, but no. Babsdyssey keeps them off point and will take this map victory to equalize the series.
There's just kind of the strength of the cohesion that we were expecting from Babsdyssey coming through. Going into, we knew a lot of team cohesion. Yes, this is a bit different now, not having Babs and Epicornic as two players who we know are playing together, but those two are on the side of Odyssey.
Yeah.
Very crucial, I think, between Quacha and Pretz there, doing a lot in terms of the tank line. I'd say winning that tank battle against Tox and Fluffy then, not an easy task. Yes, Tox, bit of inexperience, but you can see Fluffy, someone who's very confident on that Zarya pick. And it's good to see that now we're seeing this kind of cohesion coming out of Babsdyssey, something which, you know, after last night's game and first map of this morning, we were a bit worried if that was going to come. But they ended up holding 5.5 minutes on point 3. It takes a lot to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes down to that cohesion, that credible rotation of ults. They always had an ult online ready. And basically, I think maybe that only the last team fight when they're coming out in store was when there were no ults online.
Yeah, and at that point it was kind of a scramble anyways. I completely agree. That for me was really what stood out. You know, of course we spoke about Rafiki's May, and that was definitely a big contributor, but that ult economy and ult rotation coming out of Babsdyssey was perfect. You don't really expect to see that from these teams, but again, I think the map contributes to that, right? You're comfortable on the map, you know how that third point is supposed to go, and you rotate your ults very effectively as a result.
100%. I'm interested to see how this map goes. You know, a bit of a different map now. You've gone from your King's Row, your stock standard brawl map, now to more of your spam central map of Evander. Potentially, we see the double sniper. We've seen Damien on both the Hanzo and the Widow. We've seen Elven also take a crack at that Widow. Well, obviously to less effect, but then again, that was going up against JRV. So you can't really say that's, you know, a fault for Elven. It's JRV. And I mean, we've seen a little bit of Furious on that Widow, on that Hanzo in his games for Race Legion, whereas Rafiki, an unknown entity in that regard. Whether they stick with the brawl, it's a possibility.
Yeah, we did see Rafiki briefly, I think it was, on the Widowmaker towards at the beginning of King's Row, their attack. But or was that Furious?
That was Furious.
Oh, was it Furious? Okay, sorry. Instead here we're gonna see Rafiki now on the Pharaoh. We got quite a bit of pharmacy play yesterday, and it was quite effective for the teams that ran it. But yeah, both teams actually gonna run the pharmacy. Damien will go for that double shield play for the defensive team here for E, but otherwise quite a different look from both teams.
I really like this one for, you know, this kind of Pharaoh spawn camp, very difficult to deal with, and they're going to need to be very careful here. Trying to push into these tanks while the Pharaoh is shooting through behind isn't going to be easy, but that's a good start.
Yeah, Damien immediately loses his mercy here, second down, has to sort of get out there. He's hitting good shots though onto the opposing Pharaoh and is able to sort of pump the damage out. They've gotten quite out of spawn here, actually, surprisingly. They're moving through aggressively on the side of Babsdyssey to try and get these picks and not going to get stuffed into their spawn like we might see. With Tocs going down, you have to get back here. You can't spawn camp when you're losing players. Fluffy goes down as well, and they might lose Rafiki, but the spawn is so close, it's not going to matter. The cart already on the move.
Furious getting a massive pick there onto the Dragon Wolf meant that Damien just couldn't play as aggressive as he wants, you know, trying to win a 1v2 against a Pharaoh and then still a McCree shooting at you. It's just not really possible. So he was forced to back up, afforded the space for Babsdyssey to go on top of Fluffy and Tocs, and from there it was their team fight.
Yep, very, very well played. I'll sit up here, Tocs on the Diva, ball rolls in, slams down, rolls out again, Tocs dropping low, half HP here, damage coming through very well. Yeah, he's just gonna get demeched. The shield a little bit late there from Fluffy. Oh, that was a nice shot. That's a bad position for Phoenix to be in, and she does end up getting taken down. Damien with another couple of direct hits here, putting his team on his back. Furious, not long for this one, gets snapped down, gonna get the Anna as well, probably even touching point here, contesting Damien, coming in clutch for his team.
A very impressive plays from Damien so far. Pharaoh, not something we've seen them too much on, but winning that duel against the enemy pharmacy, very clean. You know, we didn't even see Rafiki get much of a chance to shoot him. Phoenix taken down straight away, and then once that was done, 2 directs on to Rafiki, straight on to Furious. He knows what his priorities are.
Yeah. And when you can win the Pharaoh duel that quickly, it opens up the map so much for your team. That is such a big problem, and if the counterfire can just go a great hold combo there, kills them with the left click, doesn't even need the rocket barrage, shows it down anyway. It's going to track down Phoenix as well, his former teammate, of course, as a part of Vanguard, and this man right here, Damien, standing out on this map.
Also another really good bot from Elven there, making sure that there wasn't really much space forward. Rafiki switching over to the Echo. I think in this kind of composition, you're playing with the Rhyme Ball, it's a bit harder to kind of play the Pharaoh with this comp. You've got the spam setup, as you saw with the whole comboed with the Pharaoh, not even with the barrage, just the damage from that. It's going to be very difficult to contain with, so the Echo is a bit more of a stable pick.
Yeah, Rafiki now on that Echo, as you say. Ravester though opens things up for the kill onto Furious. That might be team fight lost already for our pink team here as they look to push forward. We'll get the mortality field, and they are going to keep committing here, but with Pretz going down, I think you've got to just back out, regroup, and look to take the next fight. They did throw the mines in, and Quagga looks like he still wants to commit, but not likely to get out. A nice move from Damien prevents Quagga from extricating himself, and Babsdyssey struggling a bit here.
We might see Quagga swap here. I would like to actually see him on something like a Diva here. Really able to deal with the DPS. You know. Even though Diva not necessarily going to kill this Ashe or Pharaoh, you can put a lot of pressure on them by just flying into a phase in DM. And you know, as any DPS player will tell you, a Diva in your face is very irritating. So this will make it a lot easier for Pretz and Furious especially.
Oh, Alvin's dead. He gets popped by the sticky bombs. Rafiki finds that pick. Furious finds Dragon Wolf. This is looking good for them, but Tocs says no thank you. I have a self-destruct, and that means multiple kills. And with Damon still in the sky to clean things up, TocsInSocks and the crew have hulled pretty effectively here. Only 12 seconds left on the clock. Quagga a late death as well, so they might not even be able to get back in and touch.
Pretz has to switch onto the ball just to get the touch going. Furious also on that soldier. Pretz should be able to get the touch. Yeah, he does get it down, but it's going to be a tough fight.
Especially with the rocket barrage at the ready. He's just going to throw it down. He finds one, finds two. Damien going to find a fourth maybe. Nice work from Damien. I mean, this has really been Damien's map. In spite of the good plays we've seen from his teammates, I think he really has been controlling things from the sky.
It just seemed like in that fight, Babsdyssey were kind of a bit hesitant of how we're going to deal with this Pharaoh. We've got our own Pharaoh, we can't lose out that jewel, okay, we barrage, now we swap. But now you've still got the Wrecking Ball, which with a Reinhardt's already inherently very awkward. Then you've just got this Pharaoh and Ashe pumping in so much damage. How do we deal with it? And by the time your Koch is switched, you've got 2 fights left. Then he gets a late stagger, so he's not even there to help deal with that Pharaoh once they touch point. If we look at their contesting point, the barrage comes through, but Quagga's there with the D matrix, you probably see a bit more of a life in this fight for Babsdyssey. Yes, it's still possible that this map. Havana is a notoriously difficult first point map to push, but they're going to have a really good hold.
And they're going to try and do it with the dive. Just waiting to see what DPS they want to bring out. Okay, they're going to match what Babsdyssey was doing, at least when it comes to DPS. Tanks, though, going to be dive tanks. On the attack, though, again with this double shield, can't argue with the results. Damien again on the Pharah, again. Worked so well for them on the attack. And Elven, okay, deciding. Fluffy is deciding what he wants to play. But I like what we're seeing out of both teams here, especially Babsdyssey. They're just going to try and match what worked on the defense for the opposing team.
I don't blame him. I think Ashfar always been a really strong pick here. We are going to see the Reinhardt Sigma coming out of quadruple E, so they're kind of more like going into what Babsdyssey were playing, but seem to be playing in a bit of a different way.
Indeed, yeah, already in the back line, dropping low, a couple of players. Damien have to get healed up here. Oh, a nice secretion there. Finds the Diva. Will they get the kill? No, you shouldn't still peek there, Press. Get back. He gets back eventually. Won't lose his mech as well. So very fortunate. But look how much space has already been taken here by our blue team. And look at the stun. Quagga gonna hit the deck here. Dragonwolf gonna pick up that one. Tox finds Rafiki. So no pressure from the sky. Pretz is low on the right hand side as well. So this is not looking good for them. Already 3, 4, 5 players down. Caught already at the point. It's pretty disastrous for Babsdyssey, just losing a few key players at the wrong moment, giving too much space away, and the point will cross through, and Alvin's Electric Eels will take map 3.
You see that from Babsdyssey, they're trying to get this camera obviously slightly different this time with the dive, but it felt like they weren't 100% sure of how they're playing this comp. When do they take the aggressive fights, when do they not? And by the time they had really decided to take a fight, the cart was already within touching distance. Quagga was forced to touch point, and with Pretz in the backline still waiting to get healed up, he couldn't really assist Quagga in any way, and Quagga falls, you lose a lot of your front line, and from there, for that Ryan Sigma, they're just going to put forward. Yeah,
very, very effective stuff from 4E there. So again, looking a bit out of sorts, Babsdyssey. We move away from King's Row, and Havana, one of the, if not the newest map added to Overwatch, I think.
I think
so.
Pretty sure. Hold on, let me actually double check this. I can't
It just occurred to me, but yeah, a map that the teams are not likely to be nearly as comfortable on as most of the others. Kanzaka's not a real map. Get out of here with that. So yeah, it's the natural synergy, the natural understanding of that map won't be nearly as good for these teams as King's Row was. So what is our next map here?
Our next map is Temple of Anubis. So
yeah, Temple the teams will have an extremely good understanding of, but it is a 2CP map, and good synergy, good execution is worth a lot. But it's also a place where you can leverage the strength of your ult economy, and that's really what won King's Row for Babsdyssey. So could be an interesting map.
Yeah, what I'm potentially looking at Damien on the Genji here. I think it's a map where you can kind of get away with going with this Nano Blade, potentially even you're getting a Sombra in there on Elven, going for an EMP bomb or like this combo dive S, which is so good at breaking points. Obviously, once you get to second point, it's a bit tougher, but they're the kind of things, on 2CP, you just need to win 2 fights a lot of the time.
Yeah.
See, you do have that stall fight on the second point, but if you can get good control, it can help a lot, and it's why this kind of combo dive works very well for a lot of teams. We are going to see them on defense first, and I'm also expecting a potential Junkrat coming out.
Yeah.
Very good this map.
Very good indeed. Rafiki here will lock in. Oh, we haven't started yet. There we go. Temple of Anubis, our next map here. As we said, most teams very familiar with this map. Kind of divisive in the sense that a lot of players despise this map, but I think that's just more because it's a control map. And, I mean, it's an assault map, sorry, and everybody hates assault, including the developers who aren't putting it in the next game.
To be honest with you, this is my favorite 2CP map, saying that it's not saying much because it's a 2CP map, but that could also be because I may have abused Junkrat a few times on this map.
A dirty Junkrat abuser out himself here in front of all of these people. Babsdyssey so far running the the Zarya and the ball. That might be what they come out with here. But let's take a look at the defense. They're gonna go for the dive defense with the Echo. Elven gonna reprise his role on the Ashe there, and he's performing quite well on the Ashe. You know, a bit quieter than some of his teammates on these maps, but seems to be consistently outputting high damage.
I think that's a really important point here. Elven, he's not a DPS player. You're not expecting him to begin these big plays that someone like JellyDoodle would produce, but he's doing the job here. He needs to do it. It's allowing the rest of his team to gain value.
Absolutely is. So they do come out here with the ball and bubble composition on the tanks. Fierce on the McCree. He's really been a standout on this team, not just today, but yesterday when we saw them as well. Rafiki will be on this Doomfist. We saw him bring it out at the end of King's Row. Seemed pretty good. But Furious will open things up. Doomfist as well. So the birds out of the sky straight away as Furious picks off Fluffy following the stun. So great work from Babsdyssey so far. This looks like a well-executed initiation. A few critical picks. The rest will even come out. Elven goes down. This wet noodle of a Zarya right now with no charge. Just going to beam down the opposing Ana. Lets him go. Says... I will show you mercy here, but it doesn't matter. Babsdyssey will still cap the point. Wow, that was a hard one to get through apparently.
Yeah, really good play once again for Furious. Also, Rafiki putting in a lot of work there. You're getting the kill into the mercy meant that that pick that Furious get isn't going to be raised up. Now got the advantage. Pretz goes down, KK goes down as well, but ultimately it's a 1-5 for Babsdyssey. We are going to see them change comp immediately, so they're not even going to try second point with.
Okay, I like that decision. Very well, very decisive decision making there when it comes to compositions. And we'll go on to that Ryan Zarya. Furious has his ultimate, so they might even be able to win a quick one. And Rafiki on that May. Furious drops straight off the bat. The nano boost comes in now. Tocs has already picked up a double before the nano was even committed, and just gonna get aggressive now from Fluffy. Looks to clean things up. Damien will drop, but it's not gonna be enough to stop 4E from winning this team fight. Rafiki last year is going to put the sprinkler on there, make sure he can cool the map down just a little bit, but will end up dropping.
Sometimes you're making these swaps straight away off the bat, you lose quite a bit of tempo, and we saw those at the ball comp, but in the long run, I think this is going to work out. You know, you're not always guaranteed to win that straight second fight off the bat, so this guarantees that they have multiple chances of getting this point, especially when you look at your 6 ults where that's all you need to win 2CP a lot of the time. They're going to have multiple instances of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Furious now has an opportunity to get that off. Damien dropping low, but will relocate out. He does have the EMP almost at the ready here. Blizzard already charged up from Rafiki, so really nice work from him. 2-on-1 team fight, but it's going to be TocsInSocks that starts it off. Look at the combination there from the tank's primal rage plus the self-destruct puts the pressure on. No ults committed though from our pink team, so they're coming into this one with a lot to work with, but there is one ultimate that's pretty good at dealing with the opponent's ultimates on the other side.
The EMP and the ult where it doesn't matter how many ults you have on the enemy team, if you hit all 6, you have 6 ultimates, you can't press them, we just win them. Right, so especially against this composition that's going to be grouped up, we're going to see, are Babsdyssey going to try and commit before that EMP comes out, or are they just going to let the EMP fight happen and then try win straight after that?
It's probably what I would go for. They've already lost their shield though. That was a hammer down apparently on the point. EMP, it's 5. Only Furious not caught in. The grab did go down, so there were a couple of kills, but it's not nearly enough to win Babsdyssey the team fight. So the combo breaker there destroying Babsdyssey's huge ultimate team fight. Elven Slayer will drop here, but you need a clean team fight on this point. Maybe you don't. Furious going down. That should be the end of that. Moira here for Dragon Wolf just going to clean up with the sort of laser beam thingy that she has, the little sucky, and that's going to spell the end of that team fight. So a little bit disastrous for Babsdyssey, and Furious still holding on to his ultimate.
We saw there Pretz and Quacha looking to ult early. Pretz Shadow unfortunately missing everyone. Pretty big grab on the side from Quacha, but that EMP just meant that they didn't really have that follow-up onto the grab. The tanks go down, there's no front line. Furious doesn't really have that buffer to hinder.
Alvin Slayer drops early. This is a good start. This might be exactly what Babsdyssey need. Coalescence comes out. Furious finds another, but they've lost K. That means they don't have sustain in this team fight, and you need sustain on the second point of an assault map. Frozen up. Fluffy gonna get taken down. Rafiki will find that throw the Blizzard out as well. Damien gonna have to translocate out there to prevent himself from getting frozen as the Ravster puts the pressure on the pink team here. He finds a kill on Quacha. They're just going to send them packing once again. A good wall from Rafiki, but it won't prevent them from going down as 4E looking in complete control so far.
A lot of it's got to be thanks to Damien and the Sombra there. Getting the hack onto KK meant, there's no immortality field. She doesn't have the regenerative burst. Allowed Fluffy to dive on her straight away, get her out of that fight. As you mentioned, not having the Baptiste in this kind of 2CP team fight, you're almost always going to lose out.
Is that what that spell's called? Regenerative burst? I've never thought about it.
I believe so. I could be misremembering.
It sounds right to me. Damien in the backline here, 88, 89% on his ultimate. Again, the hack onto KK. So as you mentioned, no immortality field now, and they really think they wish they had one as the Death Blossom comes down off the top rope, and another clean fight from 4E here. Going to secure them more time off the clock. The big ult fight coming in, but once again, Damien has the EMP ready at the perfect time.
I can imagine, once again, we're going to be looking at this EMP coming up big, and KK is going to swap over to that Morris, so kind of saying, okay, well, yeah, I lose out on now the immortality field every fight I'm getting hacked. Then we rather go for the Morris, so I have more of that constant healing.
Yeah.
So my fade, but at least I have the healing, my team. And
yeah,
the Symmetra as well, allowing them to get to point a bit faster.
Oh my god, look at this, just watching them. Oh, okay, Symmetra, nice. Teleport through, you go up. Does he pop the EMP? Yes, he does. Quacha, Pret, sorry, hacked up here. Bomb comes out, Tox, very consistent with getting a kill. Gonna get a squish as well onto K. She cannot escape the kills here, unfortunately. And I mean, look at that disaster for Babsdyssey. All their ults thrown out, and once again, it's the Sombra that's the bane of their existence.
They really are trying to kind of counter this EMP by just playing faster, trying to get those ults, but it just didn't matter in the end. The EMP hits 5 members, Bomb gets 1, then Fluffy gets the squish onto K. And it's just, as we spoke about how it was such a good hold from Babsdyssey on King's Row to defend for 5.5 minutes, ult rotations, that's what we've seen from quadruple E.
They can get a tick here. They'll be pretty happy with that, I think. And now, no ults in play, so the neutral fight, I think, looks a little bit better. Or as I say, that Dragon Wolf going to track down the Lucio. Furious drops as well at the hands of Fluffy. Now is the Primal Rage. So no ults was a lie. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that I did that to you. But 4E in complete control. Death Blossom as well in celebration. Spin to win. And Babsdyssey not going to be able to get anything out of second point.
It's really unfortunate seeing that from them there, because they had a lot of time in the bank, but it was just always, those fights where they're coming into it where there's no EMP. It's Damien getting that big hack off, 4E using their ults to kind of synergize with that hack, or just diving onto whatever that hack target was, getting them out of the fight, making sure that Babsdyssey didn't really get those fights outside of when EMP was available. And as soon as those ults came online, they were used, but they just didn't matter because that EMP was hitting 5 members every single time.
Yeah, but they were playing such a bunched composition. It looked, you could see when they were coming in, and Damien was just kind of watching them, how bunched they were. It was harder to not hit 5 people than it was to actually hit 5 people. But that's kind of what Sombra does, and it's really a tough hero to play into, and we know how Quacha feels about the hero after yesterday's game. But really, he wasn't the one getting punished. It was Kay who was getting dominated by Damien.
Yeah, I think, that switch onto the Moira kind of indicates exactly how she felt. You're not being able to really use the abilities, and if you're only really healing on Baptiste, maybe outputting a bit of damage, there's no real point in playing that Bap at the end of the day, because even when she uses that window, there's not really a lot of people that can use that. So she used it, they all basically walked forward past it, she got hacked up and died without the immortality. So massive credit has to go to Damien so far.
We saw Star on the previous map also dominating, so he's put out a standout performance today. Rafiki will come in on the Junkrat though, on the defense, a hero quite fond of seeing, not of playing against so much. Not the most popular hero at the moment, but very common on this map, as you mentioned earlier. Ooh, Tox dropping super low here on the Diva, and you're going to push through this choke. This is where Rafiki's going to be able to get a ton of damage down, and Fluffy will drop to the stun here, but KK once again the target from TocsInSocks. Gonna drop instead though. Good peel from the Babsdyssey team here to keep their main support alive as they force Toxin crew back. 4E not able to get anything out of this first team fight.
Very interesting choice from Kwahia going on the Winston. I think potentially expecting that that's a metro strat that we have seen quite a few times brought out from 4E, so maybe expecting that TP onto point. Winston cleaving through a lot of people when they get to point can be really strong. Toppled on top of a Junkrat means that it basically spells doom. But first fight, not the worst coming out of 4E.
No, not at all. Phoenix again here on the Brigitte. She's really been the only person bringing that hero out, at least on broadcast, as the damage comes through on the side. Rafiki needs to move and go do damage, and he does that now in the back line. Not able to get the shots though just yet. A little bit of damage going down as he moves towards his ultimate. Quacha and the Angry Monkey in the front line here, forced him back into the hole. Alvin's drop, but Damien will find Rafiki in the back line. The Primal Rage not getting too much done here, but is buying space for his team to regroup and set up. Fluffy now will come in almost at his own Primal Rage, dropping low, stand up, not taking down the healing from the Moria. Too much to burn through with the Coalescence now. Damien finds Furious, so both DBS have been taken out by the opposing Sombra here for Babsdyssey. They're in a tough spot. Shadow comes out, doesn't find anything. Sound Barrier now committed from the Ravester, and that's going to mean they're not going to die anytime soon unless you get killed by the Rip Tower, but only Elven Slayer dropping. We'll be very happy with that on the side of 4E as they look to cap this first point. Quacha gonna go down, and that should be that. About 4.5 minutes left on the clock after this.
And going into the next team fight, you got the EMP, you got that bomb potential death blossom coming in this fight versus a nano primal once again from Quacha, built up very fast, and then the high noon. It's looking good for 4E. It all depends on how big of an EMP that Damien can get, and how they've been going so far. Very likely.
Very likely indeed. He did get spotted out there. I think they looked to combo, but they didn't realize Damien had forced out. So Tox goes to self-destruct in, doesn't really find anything, and immediately they fire back. The EMP does come through, but that is a disaster. Not going to find anything with that. Phoenix goes down, and she'll be more than happy to pay for the cause with her life here as the rest are the last to drop. And that is the storm weathered now from Babsdyssey, and it got a ton of ultis.
And losing out on Damien getting spotted too early meant that the EMP bomb wasn't really effective. And EMP comes out, big EMP once again, but this time 2 members had already dropped. As soon as the EMP comes out, really like kind of anti-timing in the end, we are going to see a composition stop from EMP.
We are indeed. Makes a lot of sense. You just come in with your big ultis and then throw them down and see what you get. Didn't work out. Surprised to see Damien not sticking on the Sombra. I thought that was fine as a pick. That team fight just didn't work out for them. But he's going to go onto his trusty McCree here. Match Furious on that. But this will be a tough fight for 4E. Maybe just try and build some ultimates. They spotted out Quacha on the high ground there, but not going to do too much there. And this is a lot of time being burned off. I mean, already a minute and a half off the timer here. Alvin has a death blossom. He's going to go for it now. He spots his opportunity, but I think he's been spotted out here. Coming into the backline. The tanks haven't looked at him. He gets stunned out, taken down. They've lost Phoenix, but that's not such a huge deal. Pretz though will also go down. What was that? The pulse bomb looked like. Yeah, it was. Rafiki's on the tracer. He doesn't get that kill, even though it looked like he probably should have. The immortality field keeping the team alive there from the Ravester. They're getting picked slowly but surely here. Only really having lost Elven Slayer, and now they're set up on point. And this is a hard team to push into, especially with the window up here. The Ravester, Rafiki will try and get in here on the tracer, buy time for his team, but Elven Slayer's back. It's a lot of damage getting put out here. They only need 1 tick. They might just force them out here and take the series right now. Furious with the ulti blocked out by Fluffy. The self-destruct once again won't find anything, but Damien with the headshot onto his opposing number gonna help prevent Pyrrhus from doing anything. They get off the point for 1 second, and 4E will take the map and the series.
So we saw they had that composition swap after that EMP bomb fight. They ended up playing that comp pretty well, and there's no Sombra on the enemy side. You don't have to worry about those hacks, so not worrying about the EMP. And what ended up happening is that kind of Rafiki not getting too much value on that tracer. Pulse bomb was pretty decent, but immortality keeping everyone alive against that. And then it just, this tracer versus the Sombra in this kind of situation, I much prefer the Sombra. It just gives so much utility, with those hacks. Then you build up into that EMP, and it just, as we saw, stops those 6 ult fights.
Yeah, Yeah, it actually completely ruined the alt economy from Babsdyssey. So guys, that is going to be that, I believe. Yeah, 3-1, sorry, to 4E. Babsdyssey putting up a good fight despite the awkward situation with their subs and starting late and all of that stuff. Kings Row, they kind of brought it in quite nicely. But at the end of it all, the top team from Group B, too strong for the second place team in Group A. So it's not all over for Babsdyssey. Of course, this is our upper bracket match. And let's take a look at the bracket. Is it updated? Probably not. There we go. It is updated. So as you can see here, our semi-final 2 is where we're at right now. There are 2 teams already in the lower bracket seeded directly from the group stage. They are just not pictured here, but we'll get to see them a bit later on, actually in our next match. So yeah, Rainbow Renegades versus H is the other upper bracket final, but as you can see, Babsdyssey will drop down to the lower bracket and face whoever wins from our lower bracket semis. So both these teams still able to win things out here, but Elven's Eccentric, Electric Eels definitely in the driver's seat. And that should be an exciting matchup here. If Rainbow Renegades go through, and we're probably expecting them to given how strong they looked yesterday, that could be a fascinating matchup in our upper bracket finals.
Yeah, we're going to see, once again, kind of this chaos versus more of the structured style, and how the more experienced heads of Enigma players, OG players, how they end up doing it. And they've also gotten to see this team play twice now. They've had an entire day to discuss, okay, what happens when we go up against this team? What are we looking to do? Who are we looking to punish? And with the way Damien's been looking on the Sombra, I kind of give them a nice advantage in the series. If he's able to punish Cubic on that Wrecking Ball, like Wallace on that Lucio, and we'll have to wait and see who's the other DPS for them when that match comes around, because we're not expecting Selfless to be there. It can be a bit of a one-sided series if they're able to get a hold on what that chaos is. Yeah,
it's gonna depend though how flexible Rainbow Renegades can be as well. If they're so strong at that chaotic style that they just punch through, then that's gonna be that. But if they are counted out, how can they respond to 4E's tactics? So that's gonna be our next matchup, guys. That will be at 11:30, I believe. So in an hour. Just under an hour. We'll see you guys then. But before we go, Terran, who's your player of the match here?
100% has to go to Dave. I think over the course of the series, it was always coming in clutch in these team fights. Kings Row, some of those Hansa picks. But then once we got to Havana, once we got to Anubis, carried the team on his back. That one team fight to Farah, getting 4 picks, making sure that there was no way back into that team. No space for Babsdyssey to really exist, and then just destroying all alt economy on Anubis. It was really impressive to see.
Yeah, absolutely super impressive. With Hanzo, not too bad on the Kings Row map as well. So I completely agree. Damien, a standout there. Shout out to Tocs as well. Extremely consistent with the self-destructs and getting kills with those. Fluffy as well, doing great work from the front line. But absolutely for me, Damien, our player of the match here. So guys, that's going to be that for this one. We'll be back with our lower bracket match, depending on who wins the previous lower bracket matches. We're back at 11:30, so don't go anywhere and we'll see you then.